Hi guys, welcome back again to Vanzi channel. Today, I'll share the top 50 Winlator games playable on Snapdragon 8th Gen 1. This processor has an Antutu score of over 1 million, and the Adreno 730 is guaranteed to support both old and new turnip drivers. You can probably guess that most games will run smoothly, considering this chipset supports all turnip drivers. Most of the games on this list also use the Turnip Bionic or Winlator Bionic drivers, so they'll likely use a graphics wrapper. Okay folks, no more talking, let's begin. First, Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012. Undeniably, this racing game from the NFS series runs very well on this processor, reaching 60 frames per second at HD resolution. The following gameplay uses the Winlator Bionic version. 2. GTA 5. As you can see in the following gameplay, by using Winlator Bionic and the drivers recommended below, your favorite GTA game can now run very well and stably at 30 frames per second. 3. Assassin's Creed 3. This game is definitely worth playing on Winlator rather than Yuzu. The graphics on PC are much better, and you'll also get more stable performance without annoying graphics bugs. 4. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Yep, you're not mistaken. One of the most demanding games played on mid-range devices can now run at a stable and smooth 60 frames per second. The game even runs at HD resolution on this chipset. 5. Prototype 2. When played on this chipset, the FPS can sometimes drop below 30 frames per second. It's possible the graphics settings used in the following gameplay are too high. You can lower the graphics quality to ensure smooth gameplay. 6. Battlefield Bad Company 2. Battlefield Bad Company 2 is one of the best action war games and can now run flawlessly on Winlator, even on mid-range and high-end devices. It's also not too difficult to set up. 7. Resident Evil 3 Remake. This is one of the Resident Evil games that runs quite heavy on Winlator, especially for Snapdragon users with low Antutu scores. However, on this chipset, you can play it with a performance of up to 40 FPS. 8. Left 4 Dead 2. Left 4 Dead 2 is a zombie shooter game that's incredibly popular among Winlator users. It not only offers thrilling and exciting gameplay, but also features addictive shooting mechanics. 9. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. You don't need to worry. This game should run stably and smoothly on this chipset without any performance degradation issues as long as you make the right settings in the preset menu or in-game settings. 10. Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 is a game developed by From Software, and this franchise is one of my favorites, along with Resident Evil. Now, no need to worry, the game runs perfectly on this chipset. 11. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1. With FPS performance reaching 50, this game should be categorized as playable on a Winlator. This chipset is also powerful enough to run this game at HD resolution. 12. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. Not only the first series runs smoothly on this chipset, the second series can also be played quite well in HD resolution without any problems at all. 13. Blur. You've probably seen this game listed in some of my videos. Well, it's incredibly entertaining and highly recommended for you to play on Winlator. It also runs very well, reaching 60 frames per second. 14. Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7 is also a very light game to play on Winlator. To run this game smoothly, I recommend downloading the latest version of Winlator. 15. Transformers Devastation. If you're a fan of games with Bayonetta mechanics, this game is definitely worth adding to your playlist. Not only does it run very well, but it's also quite easy to set up. 16. Dark Souls 3. Not only the second series runs well, the third series of this franchise also runs playably, and sometimes the performance can reach over 30 FPS when played on this chipset. 17. Mad Max remains a highly recommended game for open-world game enthusiasts. However, it's important to note that the game is quite difficult to configure, especially when it comes to presets. 18. Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption is also a popular open-world game, and is highly sought after by Winlator users. You can choose to run this game on Winlator hotfix or the Bionic version, depending on your preference. 19. Spider-Man Shattered Dimension. Shattered Dimension is one of the Spider-Man games that runs quite well in HD resolution. Unfortunately, sequels like The Amazing Spider-Man haven't performed as well on this chipset. 20. GTA 4. Compared to GTA 5, this GTA series is more stable and smoother to play. You can improve performance even further if you know how to adjust the settings, especially the preset menu and in-game settings. 21. Pro Evolution Soccer 2017. Not just PS 2017, other games in the series, such as PS 2016 and 2019, also run very well on this chipset. You can also play the latest Pro Evolution Soccer patch on the Winlator on this chipset. 22. WWE 2K15. If I'm not mistaken, this is the only SmackDown game that runs smoothly on a Winlator using this chipset. To improve performance, please lower the game's graphics. 23. Portal 2. Portal 2 centers around the use of a portal gun to create portals on walls, allowing players to navigate environments and solve puzzles by manipulating physics and perspective. 24. Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition. Yep, you're not mistaken. This game runs quite well on this chipset, so feel free to give it a try, but keep in mind that proper preset settings can also affect the game's FPS performance. 25. Tomb Raider. Now, using only a Snapdragon 8th Gen 1 processor, you can run this game quite well. To avoid crashes or black screens, you may need to configure the settings, or you may have incorrectly adjusted the preset settings. 26. DMC Devil May Cry. Just by using the recommended drivers and DXVK, you can play this game very well using the regular version of Winlator. 27. Stray. Stray is a fairly demanding game to play on this device. Sometimes you'll experience a stable FPS above 30 in certain locations. Lower the graphics settings for better performance. 28. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Like the previous list, this game is also quite demanding to play. By lowering the graphics settings and changing the preset configuration, you'll be able to play the game smoothly. 29. Arma 2. This is a fairly extensive open-world simulation game that certainly runs very well on this chipset. You can also run the game using either the standard Winlator or the Bionic version. 30. Resident Evil Revelations 2. Resident Evil Revelations 2 is a relatively easy game to play. It boasts both engaging and gripping graphics. It's likely the Resident Evil series with the most challenging puzzles since Code Veronica. 31. Sniper Elite 3. Not only Sniper Elite 3, but the second and first series also run well on this chipset. However, the third series is the lightest and offers significant graphical improvements over its predecessor. 32. Sonic Unleashed. Before trying this game, make sure it's set up correctly, and using the recommended drivers and DXVK. For more information on how to run it, you can visit the channel I've pinned in the comments. 33. Devil May Cry 5. With the right settings, this game should run smoothly on this chipset. Occasionally, you'll experience FPS drops below 30 during certain battles. Be sure to always lower the graphics settings. 34. Injustice: God Among Us. In fact, almost all battle games, including Street Ultra Fighter Series 4 and 5, can also run very smoothly on this chipset if your settings are correct. 35. Need for Speed Rivals. This game is a must for you to play on Winlator. Some mid-range chipsets are also capable of running this game very well and smoothly without any problems. 36. Rise of the Tomb Raider. Rise of the Tomb Raider is generally considered a strong sequel that builds upon the foundation of the previous game, offering a more refined and engaging experience. 37. Sifu. Sifu is a third-person action game focused on intense, stylish martial arts combat and revenge. It's known for its challenging gameplay, unique aging mechanic, and beautiful level design. 38. Mars Wars Logs. The game takes place a century after a major upheaval on Mars, where factions fight for survival and resources like water. This game is running very well on this chipset. 39. Metro 2033 Redux. Yep, as you can see, this game runs very well, even reaching 50 FPS without recording on this chipset. Just make sure you're using all the correct settings. 40. Watch Dogs. If you're in an open area like this, you might only get around 30 FPS, or sometimes even lower. You can get varying FPS performance from this game, and it's all stable enough for you to play. 41. The Forest. This game can actually perform even better without recording. To slightly improve performance, don't forget to lower the in-game graphics quality and the resolution. 42. Warhammer 40K Space Marine. The original game's story is considered straightforward, focusing on Captain Titus and his squad's fight against an orc invasion on Forge World Graia. 43. Far Cry 3. Far Cry 3 is one of the games in the series that can still be played smoothly and stably. You might also be able to get good performance in Far Cry 4 using this chipset with the right settings. 44. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is a stylish and energetic game that successfully captures the spirit of Jet Set Radio while offering its own unique flavor. It's a game that emphasizes movement, exploration, and graffiti art, with a soundtrack that will keep players dancing. 45. Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zero is a visually impressive and mechanically solid game that serves as a strong prelude to the Phantom Pain. This game also running very well on this chipset. 46. Just Cause 2. Just Cause 2 is a very light game, and many mid-range phones can run it at over 30 FPS. It even runs well in HD resolution without any problems. 47. BioShock Infinite. This demanding game can now be played very smoothly on this chipset. You can lower the graphics settings to improve FPS performance for smoother gameplay. 48. Dark Souls Remastered. If Dark Souls 2 and 3 ran well, the first installment should run even better. You can even play this game at HD resolution with using this chipset. 49. Burnout Paradise. Burnout Paradise Remastered is a very light racing game. It also doesn't require any special settings to run on Winlator. Final list. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Just like the previous list, Call of Duty 4 is also a very light game to play, especially for mid-range or high-end Snapdragon users. You can use high resolutions to enjoy the graphics. Okay folks, those are the top 50 playable games on Winlator using Snapdragon 8th Gen 1. If you'd like to add to the list, please leave a comment. Snapdragon 8th Gen 1 is a high-end processor released a few years ago, and many turnip drivers now support this chipset for play on Winlator, especially the turnip driver. However, keep in mind that some games, like Sonic Unleashed, run well using Qualcomm drivers. Okay guys, if you think this video useful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to VanZ channel. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.